Welcome back, everybody.
Round number 2.
The second round. Patrick Narsavage on Jeskai Control. Chris Lamaster, which is Spanish for the master, playing Drakes. I think just is it Drakes.
Yeah, this is the deck that I think is going to go by the wayside. I don't think it's super powerful.
Drakes?
It's super fun.
Drakes or Jeskai?
Drakes.
Okay. I think Drakes, as long as people aren't ready for Drakes, Drakes will be ready for the format.
Okay.
Drakes is one of those decks. It's like a pure threat. Like, it doesn't have to worry about answering whatever you're doing.
Right.
You have to worry about answering it.
Uh-huh.
And as such, it'll always have a place in the format.
Got here.
That said, we've got a Boros
Jeskai
land.
Drakes.
So it may just be on, like, the version of Jeskai Control that runs
A lot of Drakes.
Niv Mizzet and Dive Down. We'll see. If we've got a Jeskai Control mirror match, I'm excited.
He's definitely got a dive down in hand.
Yeah, I see Dive Down, Spell Pierce, Ionize.
See, dive down's one of those cards that I wish they made like an F&M promo of.
I like the Dive Down art a lot, actually.
No, I
is
know.
Chris going to miss the 4th land drop? That's not where you want to be in this. Yeah, that's it. Jeez.
Yep. Here's Patrick casting a Chemistry's Insight, which will put him way ahead on lands.
So I think you need to Spell Pierce this. You know he's on Jeskai, and the only thing you really have to worry about countering, I guess you want to counter to Fairy if he has it.
Sure. Here's Deafening Clarion. Doesn't do any much work here.
More relevant spells. Spell Pierce it. You wouldn't have to discard. Although this Deafening Clarion does literal nothing.
Yep. All right.
All right. Patrick needs to land and then just drop a Niv Mizzet here if he's got one.
Oof.
Oof.
To Fairy down. 'Cause he's got 2, and I just don't think...
Yeah.
Settle the wreckage down.
Patrick has
There's
Teferi as
something.
well. He's not... He's trying to avoid playing the Teferi without counter backup.
Yep. And I think he's going to be okay, because he's drawing a nice amount of land.
He absolutely should just play the Teferi without counter backup.
Why?
Because Chris is choked on mana big time, and the longer you let him draw back into this, the longer you give him to draw into this game, like the worse it is for you.
Okay.
So you just like jam threat after threat after threat, and then if by the end of that you have like 10 lands and no cards in hand, he has 4 lands and no cards in hand,
Right.
you're in great shape. But now we've got this issue where you force the issue on your Teferi.
So now
and
his
then
Teferi gets to resolve.
His Teferi gets to resolve. Oh, here's a Drake. This one could be good. Or do we have another Teferi? You're going to play the old Teferi Tuck game? The old Teferi Tuck. So now, if he has another counterspell backup, that could be, or another counterspell here, that could be really good.
All right, Crackling Drake comes down.
So if he didn't have a counterspell, I like this a lot. Because now, if Chris just jams another Teferi and then tucks Patrick's Teferi, it's going to die to this Drake.
Yep. What Chris could do, though, well, he doesn't have the 3rd blue source for the Niv Mizzet. Here we go.
All right, so now we're forced to bury the Drake.
That's okay, though, I think.
Yeah, you're going to get to draw that Drake again and draw a card off of it.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, jeez.
Here's the Parn, Niv-Mizzet. This bad boy's a 5/5. Every time somebody casts an instant or sorcery, he's going to get to draw a card and deal a damage.
Anytime he draws, he deals a damage. So we got to kill this Teferi. All right, now it's time to fight over another Teferi. Let's see how well Patrick has set his hand up for this. Oh, no. Is it not that time yet? Looks like he just drew a Karn. Still pretty good here, but not going to be what he needs to draw.
I don't know what the checklist card is.
Treasure map.
Treasure map.
Treasure map's a good one.
Here we go. Draw, deal you one. Here's Crackling Drake. Draw, deal you one. Here's the scry from the treasure map. I'm surprised Niv-Mizzet didn't attack there.
So he's playing around Settle the Wreckage. Chris already discarded one. So this Niv-Mizzet's just going to win the game by itself.
It just sits there?
Yeah. Do we scry that Teferi to the bottom?
I don't know. That'd be a weird thing to do.
It's going to be hard to keep around. So now we just, I think we have, if we have an opt-in hand, I want to run that out there, but other than that, I just want to attack.
Yeah, and you're just seeing Chris as the result of falling behind here. Patrick's threats are now very threatening. Deafening Clearing, giving them all lifelink. He's going to attack for 10 here.
5.
Still playing around Settle the Wreckage.
Yeah, there's no reason not to at this point.
All right, here's treasure map. Looking at the top one. See if we can find anything at all. He must have found it. He left it there. It's an island. All right, so island yields us a Niv-Mizzet of our own. He also has... Oh, no, he doesn't have the dive down backup.
All right, so he slow rolled the expansion explosion for him to tap out. So
yeah, so he held on to that one. Wanted to make sure he could resolve it through Chris's
counter magic,
various counter suites that he could have. So you were about to lambast me as we went to break last turn. Last round.
I wasn't going to lambast you. I was just going to give my opinion on the Planeswalkers.
Okay, how do you feel about them?
So, I think that 3-mana Planeswalkers are ubiquitously powerful in that, like, they come down, they affect the board immediately on a turn when the opponent's not usually in a place where they can pressure them.
Uh-huh.
And as such, no matter what they're doing, Even if it's just, like you said with the other Nissa, just making 0/1 plants and then putting +1/+1 counters on them.
Yep.
Like, it's still powerful. That's still affecting the board in some way.
Yep.
And so with these 2/3 mana planeswalkers, they've made it so that they interact with the game on turn 3, but not in a way that's so powerful that these are very powerful planeswalkers. Back when I think Liliana the Veil first came out, I was talking with somebody, it might have been Adam Prozac actually, about like where I put that in like the rankings of power level of planeswalkers.
Yeah.
And I was like, all right, it's Jace the Mind Sculptor, Liliana the Veil, Jace Bellerin, Elspeth.
Yeah. And we debated after. It's Jason Liliana at the top two.
Well, at the time, like Liliana was very new. Nobody knew like the value. They're like, all right, well, the discard is, it's both players have to discard, and then like the edict effect is always great. So it doesn't do like a whole lot of super powerful stuff, but just like being 3 cost and then having that flexibility makes it so good. And I think what we're seeing here is Wizards attempting to move into the 3 converted mana cost planeswalker design space without printing something that's as format defining as something like a Liliana of the Veil or like a Jace Bellerin.
Okay.
And to that end, I think they're very well designed. I like them a lot. I especially like Kaya. She's not super powerful. It's a planeswalker that I could see putting in a sideboard. Just being like, okay, you're playing out of your graveyard, or
sure,
you're a super aggressive deck. Well, I'm going to bring in this Kaya, and I'm going to be plussing Kaya and, maybe gaining 2 life, but then you're going to have to attack it, or I'm going to get to alt and then gain like another 4 or 5 life.
Yep.
It creates a decision point in deck building, and it also makes the issue we were talking about last week of like, hey, does this planeswalker matter? That makes that decision even more interesting because we're going to see a lot of times if these cards get played that it just doesn't.
Can you just ignore them?
Right.
So like Dovin Bond Dovin Grand Arbiter looking at the top 10. I mean, if you let that go unchecked and they're playing a control deck,
yeah,
like if they're playing a deck like we're looking at here with these Jeskai control decks where they have, it's a Niv Mizzet deck with this splash of white to play the powerful. Planeswalkers, they're playing Settle the Wreckage, which isn't my favorite, but whatever.
Yeah.
I think Dovin could go long in that deck.
So here's the thing with Dovin. You play it on 3, and then either you minus it to make a Thopter, which affects the board, like you get a creature, a flying creature. It's actually pretty good.
Yep.
But then it dies to shock. It dies to like any 2/2 that goes unblocked.
Absolutely.
It's not going to stick around very easily. Like you can certainly engineer a board position where you can get it to stick around.
Right. Well, I'm just imagining it in a control mirror like this where imagine sticking it on 3 and making that Thopter. You're ahead by a mile.
1 mile. So
1 mile, please.
Having the Thopter is relevant. Alting the Dovin Bond is also relevant, but like playing it on 3 and then like when are you going to actually get to ultimate that Dovin Bond? So like you minus it a couple times, then you plus it, and then you plus it again, I guess, to get it to ultimate.
Yeah, here's some maps.
Yeah, map is insane right now. That takes you to the point where like you're turning on your opponent's removal. And, like, you have to plus pre-combat. So, like, they don't have to use a removal spell on a Thopter if you're not going to plus the Dovin Bond. So, I think it's good. I just don't think it's insane. And I think that's where they want to be. I would put it around, like, the level of Jace Bellerin, maybe a little bit worse than a Jace Bellerin.
Sure.
And I think that's a great place to be.
This matchup's interesting. So Chris is a little ahead because he got to go first. But Patrick's seen another set of cards with this opt. So that creates an interesting tension. What you're going to see here is Chris's treasure map is going to flip first.
That is super important because it
gonna be
means he
big.
gets to play Niv Mizzet first.
Yeah, well, he's going to give him an additional land. It's going to give him 3 treasures, which are just mana.
Yeah. So now if he has the land...
So he could, play a land and play a Niv Mizzet here and have Spell Pierce back up to get. But I think what he'll probably do is just take a deep breath.
Well, he's got 2 Niv Mizzets. I'd probably run one out here.
You think one?
Oh, we're running out another treasure map.
And Patrick's going to think about it. He has a second map of his own.
The negate here is very good.
Yeah, as Chris, you let it go.
So now Patrick's gonna. I don't know if he has a Niv Mizzet. I'm sure, or a Niv Mizzet. I'm sure that's what he's digging for, or land.
I think Patrick's going to resolve this other treasure map.
Jinkies. All right. So these treasure maps represent a little card advantage through the repeated scries. Do you have 3 blue, 3 red? Yeah.
So 3 blue, 3 red. We have the rainbow land and 3 rainbow treasures up. All right. So Patrick's in a situation where he can generate mana by flipping this treasure map. Doesn't find a...
He's got a Justice Strike in hand.
All right. All right, hunting that second treasure map flip. I wonder if Chris is going to use his treasures to draw cards.
It's usually a good idea. So I don't know if I would do it at the end of this turn if I'm trying to protect something.
Yeah, that's where I'm at. All right, so we got 2 Niv Mizzet triggers on.
So this is very good that he doesn't have to now use the Teferi minus.
Okay, so Sinister Sabotage removes the Ionize from the stack, and Teferi is going to resolve.
So now he doesn't have to use the Teferi minus to deal with that Niv Mizzet, which is a big deal here, because Chris has a second Niv Mizzet in hand, and we'll need it for that.
I want to compliment both these players. They did a nice job of resolving those cards in turn.
Yeah.
And they didn't... What could have happened there is there could have been an extra damage produced that didn't actually happen from the... Because the Justice Strike removed it before...
The Sinister Sabotage.
So... And that was some tight play.
This is also some tight play, not using the flipped treasure map to activate the non-flipped. So now we have the option of drawing a card there.
Yep. All right.
Oh, we're plussing Teferi.
That's quite the move. You want to shoot Teferi, right?
I don't know that shooting Teferi is relevant. Now that we drew that expansion explosion, it might be. So we could have done that. Shot to Fairy, opted, shot to Fairy twice. And then we could have sacrificed this treasure to draw another card and dealt like 4 to Teferi.
Yeah, put it at 2.
That would have been pretty relevant.
I like it. I'm not mad about it.
But I don't know that he has another way to actually deal Teferi any damage. So we might just be planning on getting it with this expansion explosion.
I'm finding it interesting that they haven't printed just like a red instant that deals damage to a planeswalker. Like that narrow kind of... like there's a red sorcery that deals 4 damage to a creature for just a red.
Chandra's Defeat dealt damage to a red planeswalker.
Yeah.
Man, he could have killed this Teferi.
Yeah. Yeah, after all that exchange. Man, if I play Niv Mizzet, I'm going to have to generate 2 like blank cards that say draw trigger, damage trigger to like be able to put them on a stack. Because I would have gotten lost here by like 4 or 5 different times. I can't handle it.
Look at that. We untapped both of our flip treasure maps to draw some cards.
I love how we fought a really intense counter battle. Still had 6-man open. Welcome to the world we live in these days. All right. Here's Niv Mizzet. Patrick's only got 1 card in hand here, but I feel like that's only going to be for a minute. Untaps it. Niv Mizzet v Teferi.
So we just get a minus the Niv Mizzet, or the Teferi here.
Targeting Niv Mizzet.
Yeah, it's not exactly where you want to be, but there you go. That's a clean answer. Junkie, thanks for the follow.
Junkie. All right, so he's working hard on getting Patrick Narsavage down in life total. Chipping away at him.
See, how much mana does he have? 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We need quite a bit more to kill him with Expansion Explosion, but that's something we have to worry about at this point. Typically, you want to Ixalan's Binding the first or second Niv Mizzet, not the third one, but
yeah,
it's still good.
All right. Let's see what we can do here.
So we're going to be able to Expansion Explosion for like 6 right now.
Oh, this could be interesting.
All right, so we've got Ixalan's Binding.
Imagine it's going to target Ixalan's Binding.
Oh, wow. So we're going to get to Invoke the Divine, the Ixalan's Binding here.
Yep. Okay. This is a nice use of expansion.
This is a stack. All right, there we go.
Jeez,
so Patrick gets to gain 4.
These guys are fighting some serious battles.
Yeah, this is a good control match.
It's really interesting. And I think we're seeing Narsavage just going to pull ahead by resolving and flipping both these treasure maps.
Yeah, he's drawn a lot of extra cards, but Niv Mizzet has drawn Chris like 40 cards.
I think Chris...
And I'm not even exaggerating.
Yeah, that's not... It might not even be an exaggeration. I think Chris... his misstep
it was an exaggeration.
His misstep was not killing... Not targeting Teferi.
Yes.
With the Niv Mizzet.
But he had the expansion explosion in hand. He was trying to set up for an expansion explosion kill. So I can't really fault him there.
Yeah. All right, we're going to see if Lava Coil can take down a Drake here.
Odds are good.
You like it?
Yeah, I like the odds there.
Okay.
Is Teferi's getting ready to ult?
I would lead with the Karn. Chooses the Lava Coil.
Over what? Like Karn?
Yeah, I wanted to lead with Karn. I wanted Karn to go first.
I think he's worried about resolving a Karn.
He was all right with letting Lava Coil get countered? Oh, he has another one back there? Is that what that was?
Yeah.
Huh. All right, here's the Fairy Emblem. This makes all the draws relevant.
That'll do it. Wow, that was exciting.
That was an exciting back. There's a lot of good stacks in there.
Yes, stacks on stacks on stacks. So we talked about new Planeswalkers. We talked about our Foresight Sphinx. Those aren't the only new cards from today. We got a lot of new cards that came out.
Yeah, we've got the Hemorrhoid Crassus.
The Hydroid Crassus, as it turns out.
Oh, okay.
This one costs X, green, blue. Comes with Battlefield with X +1/+1 counters, flying trample. When it casts a spell, you gain half of X life rounded down and draw half of X cards rounded down.
Okay.
Your thoughts?
The best part about this is it says when you cast.
Yeah.
So you're getting that effect 100% of the time.
Right, unless they have like a Disallow or a Stifle or something.
Right.
In Standard, you're getting that 100% of the time right now. Unless Void Slime gets reprinted, which, I'll be honest, I'd be pretty happy with it.
I'm high on Void Slime. Anyway, huge on this card.
Yeah.
Just for the fact that you can just cast it and be like, okay, I'm going to reload here. I think this is the kind of card that'll go in like a dive down style deck.
Okay.
Because imagine resolving him for like 6.
Yeah, you draw 2 cards, gain 2 life.
3.
Yeah.
X is 6.
Oh, you're casting him for 8 mana.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, draw 3, gain 3.
I don't think you usually want to get to 8 mana in like a dive down style deck.
You don't think you want to get to 8 mana in these Niv Mizzet dive down decks?
Oh, that's a totally different beast.
This guy.
This isn't a dive down deck.
Every time I want to make any point, you're just like, oh, that's an exception.
What are you talking about?
The deck is...
This is not a dive. This is a Niv Mizzet deck, 100% not a dive down deck.
Yeah, right. There is no such thing as a dive down deck. A dive down deck is a deck that uses dive down to press the advantage on whatever creature it's using. So whether that's like a Warkite Marauder or if it's a Niv Mizzet.
When I think of a dive down deck, I think of mono blue control. So that's why I was confused when you say cast this thing for 8 in that deck. And I'm like, eh. But in a style deck like this, certainly. I mean, if you're going to get up to 8 mana and you're in the market for like a 6/6 flying trampler,
think about the same
let's go for it.
The new Explore card goes in.
The new Explore card.
The one that's an instant, it's a blue or green. Put a land from your hand into play, draw a card.
Sure. Thinking of that deck. I don't think that deck exists yet, but yeah.
It's like a control-ish kind of, blue-green deck. Probably plays like some big...
Probably rug.
What?
Probably a rug deck.
Yeah, it's a rug deck maybe. Plays some big, hard-to-deal-with fatties. This guy fits right into that mold.
Yeah.
And if you're playing these big, hard-to-deal-with fatties, like Dive Down is also a huge one there.
So my initial reaction when I saw this card was that it's not very good.
Okay.
But the way I was looking at it is like, okay, so for 4 mana, I get a 2/2 flying trample, or for 6 mana, I get a 4/4 flying trample. Both are okay rates for like limited, but not really what you want in constructed. And then like for 4 mana, you get to draw a card and gain a life, and that's not really all that exciting. Like you get bigger creatures that gain or draw you a card and Crackling Drake, yeah. And then if we're gonna cast it on 6, you draw 2, gain 2, which still isn't all that exciting. But it's the fact that you get to do all of those things on top of being a relevant body that make it pretty nice. The thing that I like the most about this card is that it does what I always wanted Simic to do, more than just like mess around with +1/+1 counters, or messing around with more +1/+1 counters, which is all it's ever done.
Right.
Is to be like truly weird. This is a weird card.
Okay.
Like we get 2 values of X rounded down that do 2 different things. We get a flying trample XX jellyfish Hydra Beast.
Sure.
This is what I wanted from like the experimental Simic decks all along. Just make the Simic mechanic weirdness.
Okay. So you would be down with like a whole mechanic of like X is something. Like
I'd be okay with that. I don't even need it to be like a keyword mechanic. Just make it like this is the theme for Signet is weird stuff.
Okay.
Like rapid hybridization was great.
Yeah.
Like turn something into like a lizard mutant or whatever it was,
Right,
a frog lizard mutant, I think. This thing is very weird, very good.
Sure.
But just reach for like well beyond what you wanted to reach to for the design space that we're working in now. Like, all right, pretend it's 2025 and we are really reaching for some new design space. What would we print then? That's what we want for Simic now.
Okay.
That's what I want.
You want Simic to be the Future Sight set. Or the
Not
Future Sight guild.
Not necessarily Future Sight in terms of like
Future Sight
mechanics.
was totally that.
Yeah. I mean, kind of. But I want this to be like just the weird corner of that. So like Darksteel Garrison kind of went to there, where it's like, all right, well, we're gonna be like an equipment for land, and we're gonna kind of do something, I guess, but maybe not really. I don't even need the cards to be good.
No, you just want them to exist and be weird?
I just want them to be weird. I want like people to look at this and be like, okay, I swear there's got to be some other card in Magic that makes this completely ridiculous, but I'm going to have to go back to Alliances and hope it didn't get errated to find that card.
Yeah, I think Alliances and Ice Age would be great mines of places to go find weird cards.
Yes.
Because there were definitely some paragraph cards.
Yeah.
In those 2 sets. So I feel you. I do think this card is pretty weird.
Yeah, I think this card is pretty representative of what I want Simic to be. I don't know if they felt the same way, but the fact that they printed it means we're on kind of the same wavelength there, and we might have a similar vision for Simic. So I'm a little bit more excited to see this.
I wish they would have rounded
guild.
1 down and 1 up.
I like them both rounded down, honestly.
You just think it makes it cleaner?
It makes it cleaner, and it makes you never want to cast it for an odd number.
Okay.
Which means that you get into situations where like you have a man open for dive down or something like that in your dive down deck.
In my dive down deck.
Yeah, sometimes you just need a dive down deck. Of noting. Because this is on cast, if you draw a dive down off of it,
you can... Even better.
Even better.
I'm just imagining a deck with Niv Mizzet, this, maybe 1 or 2 Carnage Tyrants.
So you're all over the place there.
And then like counter spells and dive downs and
definitely dive downs. I don't know about any of the other cards. I'm envisioning a deck with like this and the new Explore card.
Yep.
And dive down.
Yeah.
And Chemist's Insight.
Yeah, absolutely.
And Karn Constructs.
See, not in the same.
Just
vector.
like just a Karn with like the top 2 lines just scribbled out.
Mark it out.
Just only making
Mark
constructs.
And not even like mark it out in Sharpie, like Magnum 44.
Yeah, just like erased from existence. You can only make constructs with this.
We've paid Klug to just make it text box.
Just flavor text.
Yeah, just you get to make up Karn's flavor text now.
There you go.
Good luck. Have fun. You can find him at Klug Alters on Twitter.
Great work. He does great work.
Great work. The best. He's the best in the biz.
He defines the biz. He is not the. He is the biz.
We're not just setting the bar. We are the bar.
There you go. What up, Dig Dug?
Dig Dug. What up?
So we have 1 table left. They should be done soon. I'm gonna go spy on that, see what's up.
Hey, shout out to Wizards for this standard because even the control decks like kind of move it along kind of quick.
The
It's
control
not
decks
draggy. It's
that
not
was 100% those players though.
Oh yeah, they definitely know what's going on, but I think there have been standard formats previously that are really dragging and lackadaisical. This one
Yeah.
kind of has some impetus to it.
So
That's
that
motivation.
match in particular, like we saw several, like 4 or 5 large stacks of interaction.
Yes.
If you have that stack of interaction with like some of the more average control players,
It would
like,
take much longer.
that match would have 100% gone to time.
Yeah. Okay.
But the fact that they were able to navigate what's important so quickly and then interact and resolve it in a quick manner,
Right.
Kudos to them.
Yeah, they were
As well as Wizards, because it's a great format.
it is a great format. All right, we'll be back in just a minute.